Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to Fascination Street.
I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Jax Hollow. Jax is a singer-songwriter and face-melting guitarist from her new band, Jax Hollow. In this episode, we talk about everything from her growing up in a small town in Massachusetts. I didn't know they had those. To go into Berkley studying songwriting and guitar playing. I didn't even know you could do that either. Of course, we talk about her relocating to Nashville and getting to produce her first album with one of the greatest rock and roll music producers of all time, Michael Wagener. And then we jump right into her music. We talk about some of the songs on the album. She lets me play one of the songs on the album, which is my personal favorite. It's super dope. You're going to enjoy it. And naturally, we talk about some of the great praise she has been getting and the success she's had with this album. It's been streamed tens of thousands of times. She's sold out of the CD on her website before it even came out. A special thank you to previous guest of the show and drum phenom Angela Lese for connecting Jax with me and helping make this show happen. Thanks, Angie. This was recorded during all the self-distancing due to the coronavirus outbreak. So if that is over by now, woohoo. If not, damn it. But either way, this is my conversation with Jax Hollow. Yeah, talk to me, yeah. Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Jax Hollow. How you doing today, Jax?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I am wonderflonium. So, let's get to know you. I like to start out asking folks where they were born and raised because it kind of helps to give us an idea of sort of a roadmap of how they got from where they were to where they are. So, Jax, where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Western Massachusetts, which is a lot different than the South. So, yeah, kind of a long journey to go from, like, really rural, cows and stuff to school in Boston and then down here.
Rural Massachusetts has cows?
Cows, yeah.
This is so stupid. Every time somebody tells me something like that, I feel like a dumbass. I was born and raised in San Antonio. I lived here my whole life. And I always got the impression that all of New England was just cities. No towns, no country, definitely no cows. So, no, you got cows in Massachusetts?
Yeah, outside of the city, it's basically kind of the same. They're just towns, and a lot of the towns are just economically destroyed. So,
sure. That makes sense.
It's been interesting, growing up, there was commerce and stuff happening, and now it's just factories abandoned and stuff. And, at Turner's Falls, Mass, I think the people from Fallout actually came there to get inspiration for their video game. We were in the papers, people were like, wow, the people from Fallout are here. I'm like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, they came here because they want to see a post-apocalyptic world. That's hilarious. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
I kind of just needed an outlet growing up, and I didn't really think like, oh, music is it. Like I wasn't like, 5 years old and playing guitar, I just went through a hard time as a kid and had a lot of problems socially and like internally and then the home life and blah, blah, blah. And I just really needed an outlet and something I could control. And so music became that. And then I was like, wait, I'm actually really good at this. And then I just kind of kept with it. And eventually I was like, man, this is what I want to do.
So you briefly touched on it, and we can just breeze right by it if you want, but you said you had some difficulty growing up. Is that something you'd rather not talk about?
Yeah, I can briefly go, because I think that like a lot of people go through it. Single mom, she's a nurse and she's got 4 kids, and I can pretty much paint a picture of where we're at. And then that on top of just trying to navigate a lot of stuff on my own. People aren't around and you just have to be really independent. And having music was life-saving because it was something I could control, something I could progress in, something that was an amazing outlet, and then something I could later on monetize off of.
An escape.
Exactly, yeah.
So growing up, it was a single mom, nurse, 4 kids. My mom was a nurse. My wife is a nurse. My wife's entire family are nurses. Mom, brother, sister, everybody's a nurse.
Wow.
Especially if she's a single mom, she's probably working a lot of hours. My mom would pull 16-hour shifts all the time. And that let me get into probably more trouble than I would have if she didn't work those many hours, or if it was a 2-parent household. Was your father in the picture at all?
Yeah, for a while, it was just a nasty, divorce.
Cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
Are any of your siblings musicians or musically inclined?
No, I'm just the black sheep.
Really? Just you, huh? Everybody listens to music, but not everybody thinks that they can do it. What made you think you could pick up a guitar and learn it and then be a badass?
Because I had nothing to lose.
I like that answer. Everybody who is proficient or successful in their field that's on my show, I like to ask them what made them think they could do X. And it's usually born from a lot of parents telling them they could do anything, just real confidence building stuff when they were a kid. It's sort of interesting. Like, you make it sound like it wasn't so much you had all this confidence, but you had nothing to lose because you didn't really have, I guess, anything.
I'm fortunate. I grew up in a loving family. When you don't have a plan B, you just I actually like to not have a plan B because I like to just be like, there's no other option. This has to happen. That's kind of how I've been living my life. Maybe it was forced upon me, but I totally embrace it. And that's why the first album is called Underdog Anthems. It's trying to celebrate that. I don't think we celebrate that enough as a society. That is the cornerstone of the American dream, and people like Elon Musk and huge guys like that. I think there's a statistic where it's was it 40 or 60%? I know it's a big variant, but 40 or 60% of those guys, are self-made, billionaire millionaires. You know what I mean? Because they had to fight. Sometimes it gives you actually a competitive edge to be a fighter. So. Yeah,
sort of that whole wild animal backed into a corner thing. You got nothing to lose. You better start throwing haymakers. This is going to sound a little weird, but my wife is in Mary Kay, and she's been in Mary Kay for a long time. And one of the things that I noticed about the Mary Kay super, super top people was that the reason that they were successful is because they didn't have a choice. A lot of them, were single moms, and they didn't have a job where they could go into the bank and make whatever, 60 grand a year, whatever it was. And so they were successful in Mary Kay because they had no choice. They had nothing to lose, but also they really didn't have a whole lot of other opportunities staring at them in the face. And so I think that is one of the things that we lose as a society, because there's so many different things you can do. It's sort of, in the back of people's minds, lets them know that there's all these options. Just like when you go to a restaurant, if there's a 13-page menu, it's going to make it harder for you to choose what you're going to eat than if you go there and they have 6 options. So I think that the wide range of opportunities that we have now in 2021 in America, I think that makes it a little more difficult for somebody to choose a path. And so I think that's really cool that you were able to choose a path so young. How young were you when you picked up your first guitar?
I think I was 13, either 12 or 13.
What made you do that? Why a guitar? Why not the drums? Why not the piccolo?
Actually, I think I started on the drums. And then I was like, man, nobody who wants to cart that stuff around? Drummer's always the first one to arrive, last one to leave, Plus, I've got too big of an ego to, sit behind a kit,
Where did you get this ego, this massive ego you speak of? Where did it come from?
It's inflating, over time.
But where did you get it? What was the seed that planted that ego? What makes you need to be seen, I guess?
I'm an
and
attention
heard. Was it because you weren't seen as a kid? I mean, were you fighting for attention with your siblings?
That could be. I mean, my siblings are always going to be the closest people in my life to me. We grew up in turmoil, and when you grow up with siblings in turmoil, your bond is just super sacred, or it's completely decimated. And I've got other friends who grew up in turmoil, and they're just no, never. But yeah, that's a good point. But I just think it's because most guitarists just have super egos. Every guitarist I met.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I know that you went to Berkley, right?
Yeah.
Specifically for?
Songwriting and guitar principal. Yeah.
So you specifically went to Berkley to learn to be a songwriter and to get more proficient at playing the guitar?
Yeah, I basically, in my mind, I was like, I am completely and 100% just totally committed to being a professional musician, and I want to write my songs and perform all around the world. And so I was like, yeah, obviously we can't afford to go to Berkeley. And man, let me tell you, the hardest thing about going to college is figuring out how to pay for college. There was a point in time where they cut me off from borrowing student loans, and that was my last semester. And I had to take 13 classes.
Wait, they cut you off?
Yeah, they cut me off from borrowing any more money. They were like, what are you doing? You got to stop.
Wow.
And so they were like, this is the last time you're going to be borrowing money. And it was my last semester, and I had to fit 13 classes in one semester. And when you take 13 classes in one semester, you have to get a therapist's permission to say that you are mentally okay to take 13 classes. And I hallucinated. It was so strenuous.
You hallucinated?
I never knew that was possible. I don't even know if it's in medical studies or whatever, but because of how much I worked and how like crazily active my brain was, I like would hallucinate. And I didn't take any drugs, nothing like that. I just, by the end of it, I was like hallucinating, like very, like things would happen that didn't happen. I'm like, did you hear that? And people would be like, no. And I'm like, cool. you know?
Did you write a song about all of your hallucinations?
No, dude, I was so depressed. You know what I mean? Like at the bottom rung, just like still scraping at that point in time.
Isn't that where a lot of great art comes from, is from those pits of despair?
It does, yeah.
Write about that feeling.
I will, man. That's a good idea. I will go back to that. I will tap back into that, yeah.
Might as well. So let's say, you know, you're almost done with Berkeley and you didn't kill yourself, which is awesome. What did you think was going to happen after Berkeley? Did you think you were just going to, you know, walk to LA? Okay, ride a horse to LA and just become a superstar? Or what did you think was going to happen? What was your plan?
Yeah, I had preconceptions like that. I was just like, okay, I worked this hard. Like clearly, like opportunity is going to come my way. Nope.
No?
So after completing Berkeley, I actually had to spend 6 months in a factory putting candles into boxes and then putting boxes on conveyor belts.
Oh, so what's your favorite candle scent?
God,
You're a cardboard.
I can't even.
It's called cardboard and fuck off.
Right, dude. That is something, let me tell you, factory working. And because actually Western Mass is like, I think the #1 export is friggin' candle, bro. Like, you know, I think that's just it. Everyone comes to Western Mass for like candle. It's the biggest thing since sliced bread, and it's just the stupidest, unnecessary, like just anyway. I'll be like putting candles in the boxes, putting them on conveyor belts, and they literally treat you like farm animals. You have to like check in, and a supervisor will come down and be like, I noticed that you did 20 candles less than you did yesterday, you know, because it's all automated. They see where you go, and if you got to piss, you got to clock out so that you can piss and then come back really quick so that you don't lose your, you know, momentum. And, you know, and it's ridiculous. And I'm just sitting around and I'm looking at these dead-eyed people just eating their sandwiches during lunchtime. And I'm just like, this is not how humans are supposed to live. And people have been there for years, dude. That's what blows my mind. People have been there for like 20 years. I don't know.
When I was much younger, I worked in a cardboard box manufacturing factory where we just made boxes. You think loading boxes is fucking depressing? We made cardboard boxes, and like you say, there would be people who have been there for 30 years, and I'm 17 or 18 or whatever, looking around going, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why? Why? Leave. What are you doing? But we'll always need cardboard box makers and people to fill them, I guess. I'm just glad that's not me.
It's just hard. It's hard to imagine. I guess maybe like our brains are wired different. I don't know, but I just can't imagine that. You know, my rule of thumb is if you're happy like 70% of the time, I think you're doing it right. And if they're happy, then like, hell yeah. I just hope that people get that percentage in their life. I just really hope
Why'd you pick 70?
I just think it's a good number. You know?
Good number. All right. Cool. I think I hear a song in your future called Dead-Eyed Girl. All right. Rock on.
Is that supposed to be about me?
Or it could be about just your experience of seeing all those dead-eyed people, you know, wanting more out of your life, thinking that your life was going to be so awesome. And then you get there and you're like, what is happening? This is not the stage of my life I'm supposed to be in right now. So you're filling boxes with candles and you've got crushing student debt?
Yes. I basically, as soon as I got out of college, I took that gig because I needed to save just enough to get my apartment down in Nashville for like 3 months up front and stuff. Cause you're young. People hate young people. Man, you go down there, it's like, oh, you're young. Like, let's do 3 months up front. And so as soon as I saved up, not a penny more, as soon as I saved up for 3 months up front, I quit. I've lived my life a lot with having nothing to lose. And it's kind of just a continuation of that. It's just like, all right.
Really? So that's still a thing you're doing? I won't say a motto, but that's still sort of a path you're taking is like, well, what the fuck do I got to lose? This is all bonus.
Yeah. I mean, like, what do I? Like, what are they going to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've got crushing student loan debt. I've got no assets. What like, they can't take away, like, my knowledge, my experience, and my talents. So, as later down the road, if I end up actually really making money, then that becomes a thing. But for right now, I know people are just like, aren't you worried? Like, oh my God. I'm just like, dude, I've lived poor my whole life. You don't understand. Like, it's like, bad credit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, you got me there. It's bad, but.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
You know those popping phone handle things that you see on everyone's phones nowadays? Well, how would you like to put your logo on them? Does your podcast or band need new merch? Do you want to bring attention to your new book or film? Maybe you need something unique for your Patreon or crowdfunding campaign. Then visit thelogopop.com, where you can customize them with the logo of your podcast, band, business, art, school mascot, or whatever else you can think of. These are way more affordable than you may think at thelogopop.com. Mention where you heard this ad and get free shipping on your entire order. Remember, that's thelogopop.com to order your custom popping phone handles. That's thelogopop.com.
Let's get back into it.
So you chose Nashville. You didn't choose LA. You didn't choose New York. Hell, you didn't choose Austin. Why Nashville?
Oh, man, I want to go there. I've never been to Austin, man. I have a feeling I'd love Austin.
You want to know a secret?
Yeah.
It's Nashville.
Bro, I want to go so bad.
It's Nashville, but maybe there's a few more homeless people, and they will all ask you for a cigarette. But that's it. It's Nashville. It might even be a little smaller and probably a little dirtier, but it's Music City, USA, man.
Dude, I want to check it out so bad, man. I got to get a gig down there, yeah.
You do. You got to get a few gigs down here. So let's talk about why you chose Nashville.
Yeah, cheap. It was actually back then when I moved in, I was only like 2 years ago, I could get a studio apartment for $600 right downtown. That same exact studio apartment is $1,000 now. So that's ridiculous. I asked back there, I was like, hey, can I move back in? They're like, yeah, this is how much we've increased our rent. And I'm just like, it's only been 2 years and literally like no one's wages have gone up. What are you doing? And they're just like, yeah, we just figured, because everyone's moving here now because it's cheap. So now we're going to make it uncheap so that people move somewhere else.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did you know that? I mean, I get that it was, a sort of a lower cost of living, but how did you know that?
Research. And then a bunch of Berkley kids were also heading there too. So some of my friends down there trying to make it work, bartending and then playing music. And then, so a lot of Berkley community goes down there. I bet, the rich Berkley kids go to California.
Probably.
They do, yeah.
So I interviewed a young lady. She's a country singer. Her name is Bree Bagwell, and it might be more now, but when I interviewed her 2 years ago, she was 7-time in a row Texas Female Singer of the Year or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so she's a singer-songwriter just like you, but she came from Nashville. And when I asked her what she did in Nashville, she was a songwriter at Sony. So apparently that's a thing you can do, which she said was soul-sucking and miserable because from 8 to 5, she would sit in a cubicle and write songs, which she felt it took the heart out of it, right? It took the feeling out of it.
Yeah.
So that's a terrible way to sell it, but you have a degree in songwriting. Why didn't you go get hell, maybe you do. Holy shit. Do you work for Sony as a songwriter?
You have just burned a bridge, my friend. Again, just like anything else in my life, I'm just I don't fit in. You know what I mean? I've done the writers rounds. I've done the really amazing co-writes and stuff. And it's all just front porch, tailgating, dirt roads, you know, and then for female country, spewed out pop country crap, it's even worse, you know? And it's just like, they want a bro country song. They want a cut. They want something clever and witty in there, you know, like I got to get under someone new to get over you, you know, it's, you know, like, oh, I can't drink, you know, or, you know, I can't do some kind of alcohol reference to like about getting over someone, you know, it's just like, they want that and that makes them money. But I think we're on to a actual, not only just a lot of revolutions happening at once, but a musical revolution where the people are now in control of what they're consuming. And I think people are tired of that monotony. I do, because we sold out of 50 signed copies of Underdog Anthems. We haven't even played our debut show yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's amazing. So I know that people like want this. And once monetarily it catches up, then record companies will be like, oh, yeah, let's get on this thing. You know, because right now no one's going to be interested in people like me, people doing like the rock revival thing, you know. But once there's like the streams and stuff, which we've been getting streams is crazy. We just released a song and then we got like almost 50,000 streams all together. It's just like we just started and we haven't played a show yet. Like that just goes to show you like there is a market for this. You know, you just have to fish.
You mentioned that you sold out of your autograph CD, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did notice, and this is going to sound super weird, but I did notice that on your merch tab, you have a download of High Class Bitch, which is sold out. How do you sell out of a download? How does that happen?
That is the sold out lettering is supposed to be on the 50 signed copies, and I meant to take.
It's also there. It's on both places, but I was just like, how do you sell out of a download? What
you don't. You just you fire your business partner, which would be me.
Oh, that's great. That's
great. You fire them. See, doing it all yours. You know what I mean? Like you try to put on the face of like, yeah, like we've got this whole thing going on, but like reality is just like you're wearing 5 different hats, and sometimes you like drop a hat and you're just like, oh, don't mind that, you know. Yeah, we didn't know we were doing it first, so we actually had the CDs go live about a week before they were supposed to, the signed copies, and so like 12 people bought them because someone went online and was like, wow, it looks like the CDs are live right now. And I'm like, no. And so people jumped on that and were like, really, where? And they, you know, and it started this whole thing. And I was like, oh no, this isn't so fair anymore, because we sold out within 10 hours of posting them on that day, you know? So we wanted to make sure everyone got an opportunity to get one who wanted one. Even
now,
some people in Germany. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no! What does shipping to Germany cost? Shit!
That's another doing it yourself. I had no idea.
You're like, oh, damn it!
Because you see the order and it's like blah 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 in Germany, and I'm just like, how is that possible? Like, you know,
how did they even find me? And shipping into Germany's got to be 3 times what the CD costs. Damn it!
Oh, I know, dude, and it's so funny. I honestly didn't know that was even possible for you to buy it in Germany, but. And they still paid the shipping to have it go over there, you know? It's just.
So how did they find you?
Probably Michael Wagener.
Think so?
Because he's so, like, he's a legend, you know? He sold over 100 million copies in his lifetime of his music. And, you know, that's just been one of the coolest things to happen in my life is working with him, because it basically puts me on a different level of, hey, I'm not just some kid anymore. You know, I've got this legendary producer who's, you know, vouching for me and producing me. So,
well, let's talk about him. How did you find him, or how did he find you? I know there's a cool story about a video or something.
I had this mental breakdown, which I'm sure a lot of people did in 2020. It was like in the summer, where my boyfriend at the time, my ex now, he was like, no one's going to sign you. You're too old to get signed.
Why would you ever break up with somebody? Oh.
Yeah.
You're too old to get signed?
I know, dude. Let me tell you, dude, I'm so glad I'm not with him, because it was just abusive. It was just bad. And of course he'll deny it, you know. And so I had a mental breakdown. I know, I was driving home. You ever see Breaking Bad where it's like the last episode of Breaking Bad, and spoiler alert, you know, Jesse's like driving out like in the car, and he's like hysterical. He's like crying and laughing at the same time. He's like, yeah. And it's like, you get like a shiver up your spine. It was like that, but it was just complete, just like, what have I been fighting my entire life for? I just was like, wow, now I'm too old to like do this. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to email 100 people tomorrow. I'm just going to throw out lines that make no sense. I'm going to throw out lines to like legends. The first legend to get back to me who really loved my stuff was Ron Nevison. He engineered Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, and he did Heart in the 80s.
Never heard of either of those bands. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. And I was talking to him for a while. He's just like, holy shit, your stuff's legit. And he wanted to work with me, but he's in LA and it was coronavirus. And it just, it didn't really work out. And so I was still reaching out, and I reached out to Michael. And as soon as I sent him an email with my demos, he sent it back 10 minutes later. And I was like, this isn't real. This isn't the right Michael. Like, I got the wrong number from someone. Like, this is weird. And he's just like, can you meet tomorrow? And I was just like, what? Yeah, I can literally meet. Like, I will literally like run.
You're on my way.
Yeah. And we met the next day, and then we just started working literally next week. It was mind blowing.
I think that's a real throwback to, your music is sort of a revival of rock music anyway. And so I think that sending out 100 letters or 100 emails or whatever, I think that's sort of an old school sort of shotgun blast of, hey, anybody, just somebody pay attention to me. Out of those 100 emails or letters or whatever, how many people responded besides those two?
Probably like 10.
Really?
Yeah, because where I got contacts, like, who knows? Like, some like went to like probably dead. I get bounce backs from like, Big Machine bounce back, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, not a lot of people, but the people that really mattered to me, like, really responded. So, yeah, just like anything else, backed into a corner, just like, oh my God, I'm too old to get signed. But, dude, he's just I hope he listens to this, man. It's like, because he has no idea. Like, and he, you know what he'll do is he'll probably take credit for me.
I was just thinking, he's going to be like, see what I did? What a douche.
Kind of person. Oh man, dude, you have no idea.
You should write a song about him. Just kidding. I know you did. So let's talk about your album. Well, first, what was it like to work with Michael Wagener? He is one of the greatest music producers in history, specifically rock and roll history. What was your experience like working with one of the greats?
It was like every day you go in there and you're just blown away. It is basically Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You step in there, there's just a wall of guitars and like preamps and buttons and things happening in there, and it's just, and there's gold records all over the walls, and you're just in there, and you just feel like, Charlie Bucket just kind of coming in like, all right, here I am. Like, I'm here. And every day you have to meditate on that, when you go in there, because I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it because it was so like intense in a great way. But there's a lot on the table. Like it's so weird because Michael's so like amazingly just like gentle and mild mannered, which is crazy for someone who has been working with these insane rock musicians his whole life. He's just very reserved, just like a pure kind of like dude, you know what I mean? And you're going in there and you're like, all right, let's make this record with this legend, let's do this. And you don't really think about that kind of pressure until you go home and you lay down in your bed and you're like, why can't I sleep? Oh, right, because my body is in like literal like go mode. Like, I've been waiting my whole life for this. Like, I don't think I slept more than like 3 hours a night for, that whole time we're doing the record.
Really? So just to get some jaw dropping going on, what are some of the artists that he has worked with before?
Skid Row, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, White Lion. I did the Master of Puppets, Metallica. I think he worked on that record too. Tons of like
a legend, a literal rock god. What was his effect on your music, do you think? What did he do that sort of helped you in your creative process on this album, if that makes any sense? And everybody, the album is called Underdog Anthems. It's available now, probably download only, maybe?
Yeah. It's only physical copies are sold on the store, but on February 26th, which is coming up, it'll be available on all platforms. But the song Porcelain Red is only available on physical copies. It'll never be released digitally.
Why?
I just want there to be something special for the people who really support me financially. Because when you buy a CD from me, like, that is supporting me and Michael. You know what I mean? Like, and people who do that deserve to have something special that no one else can have, And those are on, jaxhollow.com/shop. We're not sold out of high class pitch yet.
So what was his effect? How did he help you, or how did he help steer the sound of this album? By the way, I've listened to this album and it's fucking fantastic.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. It sort of reminds me of a cross between like Meredith Brooks. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Meredith Brooks and Lita Ford with some Alanis Morissette and maybe even a touch of that Shirley lady from Garbage mixed in there. Like, it's a really unique sound. It's a throwback, but also it's modern and current, if that makes any sense. I really, really enjoyed it. It's great.
Cool, man. I love that description, man. It's been hard to, when people are like, what is it? And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, and that's why we're calling it rock revival, because there are actually some really amazing artists that I look up to too that are doing a similar thing where it sounds familiar, but it is current. It's not just like, ooh baby, yeah baby, ooh baby. It's not. I love Zeppelin, but like ooh cha, there could be more substance, and
sure, yeah.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Contactee is the new movie from Vincent Caldoni. When therapist Jay Rossi is assigned a patient who claims to have been abducted by aliens, her story wins him over. Her tales begin to take on an aura of truth rather than insane delusion, and he concocts a plan to confront the alien intelligence. He absconds with her to a cabin in the mountains to document the phenomenon, prove that she is not crazy. But see, here's the thing. Messing with an otherworldly intelligence proves to be more dangerous than either Jay or his patient could have ever foreseen. Contactee is a heady thriller, more focused on ideas than CGI, and loaded with twists. For more details, visit contacteemovie.com.
Available now for free to Amazon Prime members. Just search Contactee, CONTACTEE. And be sure to come back in a few weeks and check out my exclusive interview with the writer and director of Contactee and the co-host of the Shocking Details podcast, Vincent Caldoni.
Let's get back into it.
What's your favorite song on the album?
Drift Together. Yeah.
Why? Oh, you know what? Tell me a story about that.
Yeah.
Tell me a story about recording that.
Yeah, that was such an incredible experience with Michael in the studio. And I think this is where it's really, really important to get the perfect producer for an artist, because an artist has to feel able to fully be present and
safe.
Perform. Exactly. So if the artist completely trusts the producer and the direction and is emotionally allowed to just let go, then something really beautiful can happen. And that's what Drift Together is. It was really interesting because I wrote Drift Together about the guy that I was dating, because we were performing on cruise ships together.
Wait, then how come it's not called Piece of Shit?
Because there was a point in time where for the first time I could see myself, and I do not do dating seriously. I'm always just one foot out the door, I don't sound bad, but for the first time I was completely just enthralled with the idea of traveling the world with this person, because that's what we were doing. One day we'd be in Jamaica, the next day we'd be, ABC Islands, Mexico.
So was he on a cruise ship with you? Because you worked on a cruise ship for a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, guest entertaining on cruise ships playing. It was awesome, dude. It really was. I was playing lead guitar and lead singer and playing classic rock songs note for note. I had every solo note for note. It was really cool. COVID kind of. But for a while we were and I was just like, man, I don't want this to end. We're just going to keep hopping on cruise ships. I just envisioned the future of I could do this with you forever. I've never been, swayed from, obviously that fell apart quick, but I had the song, and I had the feelings of it, so that when it came time to record it, it was like, how am I going to record this song? Whenever I sing the song, I think of this guy and how terrible our relationship ended up. It was like letting him go and celebrating what I felt when it was good in the moment. So that's why my drummer, she was like, this is a heartbreak song. I'm like, it sounds like a heartbreak song because I was heartbroken when I was recording it, but it's actually a love song. It's actually a celebration of what I envisioned with this person. It's a very interesting emotion. I think that's what really grabs me about it. And I totally I cried like a little bitch in his studio. I did. And he came in with tissues because he's the best. Oh my God, I love Michael. He comes in, I'm crying at the mic. He's like, do you want to take a break? He comes in with tissues. Oh my God.
That is amazing. You mentioned, is she the drummer on all of the songs on this album?
Yep.
You mentioned Angela Lese, Angie. She is a previous guest of the show, and she's a friend of the show. How did you meet her? How did you get hooked up with Angie?
She is like one of the best things that's happened to me in 2020. Friggin' love her. She's super talented, but also like wicked smart. She's very smart. It's just like, it's the Western Mass that she's wicked smart. It's so weird, but Michael introduced us because Michael was like, I've got the perfect drummer for you. He's like, she's a punk drummer. And I'm like, really? Is she perfect for the album? But that's that trust, you have to have that trust. And I totally trust in Michael. And she shows up and she plays on the record. And I'm just like blown away. I'm just like, oh, okay. Now I see what you were thinking. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like never happened. Like I've never met this person. Then she plays on my record and then she joins my band. You know what I mean? It's like.
Oh, so she's now officially, she's in the band?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very cool. There's one song. I can't remember the name of the song. Well, what are the name of the songs on the album?
So you got High Class Bitch, Rebound, Say My Name, Drift Together, Wanted Woman, 52 Pickup, Breathe, and then Porcelain Red.
Okay, it was Say My Name.
Yeah.
That song is pardon my French, that is a fucking face-melting song. That song is so badass. And the funny thing is, before I knew that Angie was the drummer on that, I heard it and I was like, this really reminds me of some like edgy, harder Alanis Morissette songs, right? And then when I found out that she was the drummer on that song, I started laughing because one of her idols, it might even be her biggest drum idol, is the drummer for Alanis Morissette.
You love Alanis Morissette, yeah.
Like, that makes all the sense. I think he's the reason she became a drummer, if I remember correctly. But I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's fucking amazing. So this is a little bit selfish and maybe a bit of an ask, but can I play Say My Name?
Yeah, of course.
Would you like to introduce it like you're a radio DJ?
I can try.
And go.
Welcome to something, KR, blah, 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 95.9. You're listening to Jax Hollow, Say My Name.
Chosen ones, I can't raise my hands with my nose to the grind, so I'm biding my time and just taking the high road. Starting from nothing again. If that's the case, just call me Hamilton. I'm young, scrappy, hungry for a transformation, and this is my life, mine for chance. You won't find me asking, I'll be demanding. Starting from nothing again. But I bleed for what I believe. Obsessive, but I'll be the carrier if you get the message. There's no time for resting, dispersing attention. We're fighting for freedom, they affected attention. Starting from nothing again. Your instincts are your only truth. You were born in the greatness that's inside of you. So how bad do you want it, little underdog? Breathe for what you believe. Contagious. I bleed for what I
Awesome. Thank you. I love that song. I love it so much. I love the double bass. I love the way it starts, like with her just, it's such a great song. And the lyrics. So without getting, I guess, too personal, what are the lyrics of that song about? What are the lyrics of this whole album? Is it a theme? Are they all based on something or someone?
Yeah, a lot at once. Like some songs like High Class Bitch they're just fun, and they are underdog stories in their own because it's like, some kid from the other side of town trying to get the, uptown girl. But Say My Name is, it's about 2020, really. It's about like political unrest. It's about social justice. It's about a lot of things all in one sitting. It's just kind of chaotic because that's how it was just feeling. It was just all at once in your face, just chaos. But then what happens when the chaos is that there's a beautiful elongated phrase that's harmonized. This is all like in the songwriting sphere. So like the chaos gets a release, and it's kind of prosody with like the lyrics, like say my name. You got that, like flat 7 thing. It's very like shedding over and over again, like basically chipping away at like a piece of art, and everything, every little detail is put there to, execute the final product. That's how my songwriting is. Drift Together took a year to write. It's had 20 revisions. And some people are like, well, that's crazy. And I'm like, no, sometimes I write like Rebound took me like 2 hours to write. I freaking love Rebound. It's a great song. That's what the cool thing about songwriting is. You don't know what you're going to get. You got to show up to the plate and you're just trying to channel it right. But everything is very meticulous. That's just kind of my style because I just want the product to be as good as it possibly can at that point in my life.
That makes sense. Once this album comes out and it's a big smash hit, are you prepared for people to walk up behind you and just whisper, say my name?
Bro, it's going to bring me back to my hallucinations. Like, did you hear that?
And everybody's going to be like, no, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, right? Oh, man.
So what was your live show schedule in 2019 versus 2020?
I played almost every single night in 2019, whether it was like on the ships or on land. It was almost every single night I was playing for about 3 hours. There was 2 points during 2019 where I actually lost my voice because of how often I was playing. Because if you're singing rock music every night for 3 hours, it's different than, doing little like singer-songwriter things. And
I would venture to say if you're singing anything for 3 hours a day, right?
Yeah, right. And
you'll be singing lullabies, and if you're doing it for 3 hours a day, you're done.
Yeah, you kind of forget how strenuous the job is because you're having fun and you're like meeting people and you're just doing what you love, and then you sit down and you're like, oh shit, and then you like wake up and you got to go to like the ship doctor, and the ship doctor is like, yeah, you lost your voice. I'm like, yeah, I know. And so they take you off from performing for like one night and then they put you right back on, and then you lose your voice again a couple months later, but almost every night. Yeah.
And how about 2020?
Yep. I got on the Rolling Stone Rock Room January, February, March. And then once March 15th hit, everyone else knows the world just...
So you were on a cruise ship when the world went to shit?
I was, yeah. That was wild, dude, because we were all kind of skeptical and like it took it day by day, and we get these really weird Orwellian notes under our cabin doors just being like, this is the CEO. Don't worry, and I saved them. I saved them all because I was like, this is some weird shit. And I just like saved all the little like pieces of paper of like, don't worry about it. We're still seeing what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to keep going. And then when shit hit the fan, I will never forget. There was a big meeting that all the entertainment and like staff went to, because the dancers and the entertainers are all kind of like within a unit. They keep all them together and they all talk to them together so that they kind of move in groups. Like kitchen will be talked to, right. Entertainment. And so they put us all and they're talking to us and they're just like, yeah.
They put you all together?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. That's awesome.
Well, this is before the coronavirus really.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So our ship was negative and they got us in a room together and they were like, we're offering to have you guys stay for free on the ship, and we're going to be dry docked in the Bahamas, and you just get to go off in the Bahamas and have some fun for like 2 weeks. And of course everyone's like, wow, I like that.
That sounds expensive.
And my gut was like, there's no way this is happening. And we were in Florida for the next day. And so the entertainment people were like, well, are you getting off the ship now or are you going to stay around? I'm like, no, my gut is telling me as soon as we get to the US, I am like kissing the ground as soon as I get down, and then everything just went to shit and everyone's like, get off the ship now. This is our last chance. Get off the ship now. And some people were still like, no, I'm going to stay on the ship. And I'm just like, you're crazy, and that's when I got my stuff and I was ready to go and I was in line ready to get off the cruise ship. And then they stopped letting us off the ship in Florida. I think the governor, who knows, one of those people were just like, we're 50% of the people off the ship, and they stopped it. They're like, everyone getting off of ships right now. And then a strange thing happened where they're just like, all right, go back to your cabins. Everything's cool. And then they started offering like free alcohol, free Wi-Fi to try to keep people like sane while they were taking a dead body off the ship of like a 30-something-year-old woman.
What'd she die of?
Oh, that's what they were trying to figure out. They're like, oh my God, did she die of COVID? So they were doing a COVID test on a dead body. And that's what freaked them out. That's why they stopped everyone from coming off the ship because, apparently we were carrying a 30-something-year-old dead body with us. And which people die on cruise ships. It happens. It really does. It happens.
I feel like they should have let her off last.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't have anywhere to be, She didn't have an appointment.
And what's crazy to me is like, you've already let half the people off the ship anyway. So, you know what I mean? It's not going to change anything if you let the other people off. So we were on that ship for 6 hours and I started camping out with all my stuff near the entrance and they got mad at me with my guitars and stuff. And I told them, I'm like, legally, you guys let me go this morning. I got a document that says that I am now unemployed. I've now been relieved of my duties. So I technically do not represent you guys anymore. And they're like, you're making us look bad. You're going to cause panic. And I'm just like, I have my stuff. I'm not leaving. Because there's only one in and out way on the ship. I'm like, I'm not leaving here. I'm just staying here until I get off this ship. And
you're not going to catch me with that 50% bullshit again.
Eventually they just let us out. But it was scary because the people who stayed on that ship who were like, no, we're going to dry dock in the Bahamas. I'm like, they're lying to you. They were stuck on that ship for like 60 days.
Really? Did they go to the Bahamas?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone let them on anywhere. I think they were stuck in the middle of the ocean. Who knows?
That sounds like a blast.
I know.
As a side note, I don't think there could be too many more things that are as terrifying as a note from the CEO slid under your door that says, don't worry.
So weird, dude. I kept them all because it's so funny. If you look at them consecutively, it's like, don't worry. Maybe worry a little bit. Nah, nothing to see here. Everyone leave.
That's great. So back to this album. The album is called Underdog Anthems. What do you want people to get out of this album? What is your hope that the listener gains by listening?
Man, a lot of things. Fighting, like it's actually okay that like it's sort of a celebration. Like your struggle is like, look at it as a moment of like really figuring out who you are. And that's actually a really beautiful thing. And I just want to encourage that. And also just like fun too, just have some fun. Also just the fact that rock revival, there's still music being made that isn't overly produced. You know what I mean? I was there. Nothing is auto-tuned. Nothing is moved over to sound perfect. It's more human, honestly. And I just want people to know that you can still make music like this and also have it be successful. Because I feel like people are compromising and they're just being like, well, the things that are successful are super auto-tuned and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, like people like real music sometimes, and there's still people who consume it.
How has the response been to the album? I know that you said you've gotten just a shitload of streams and the CD sold out, and I guess so did the download. But what has been the reaction?
It's good. It is really good. And I strongly encourage people who don't like it to also speak up and tell me about that too. Cause I'm never one of those people that's like, oh, you don't like it? Like you don't even know music. Like, no, I take criticism very well and I use it. I look at everything very critically, but overwhelmingly a majority. I mean, we had, the guitarist for Great White, just post Drift Together out of his own will, just like, wow, this is amazing. You guys are going to check it out. And I'm just like, thank you.
Wow.
Right? Really cool. And that happened, 5 days ago? And I'm just sitting there on my computer and I'm just like, oh my God, dude. So all it takes is just those kinds of people, the gatekeepers that enjoy it to say stuff about it. And we have had overwhelmingly positive stuff said about it. And I really thank people, but I also welcome all criticism too. So.
Well, how about if somebody's criticism was this album is rocking and badass, but you're too young
to be signed.
You're too young to be signed.
Yeah. Right. Dude, I really hope, and I know that he's listened to Drift Together, I don't know, man. I just kind of want to like have a reconciliation, just be like, let bygones be bygones, but there's no getting through to people like him. It's just like, he's right 100% of the time. And it's like, nothing he did is ever wrong. So it's just.
You should reach out to him and have him meet you somewhere for, coffee. And then you should just get there early with a full whipped cream pie, just waiting for him. And as soon as he sits down, you just hit him in the face with that pie and give him the double fingers and tell him to fuck off and then walk out the door. And it should all be part of your next music video.
It's funny you said that because like I draw like cartoons and stuff. I was like, what's your favorite animal? He's like, coyote. So I drew him a picture of a coyote. And he put it on his wall, and I'm like, I wrote his initials on it. And that was one of the things that was thrown on the front lawn, in a very dramatic breakup.
In the video?
And, no, that happened in real life. And
shit. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And so I had that picture for a while. And I had like a little ceremony with my bandmates where we burned it. And I have a video of it burning, and I really wanted to put it in the Say My Name music video. And at the last second, I just pussied out. And I'm just like, what? I'm not going to put it in there, but I still have the footage. And I'm kind of wondering, like, where do I want to put it?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find some place for it. And you should, because fuck that guy. So can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so most of my handles are at Jax Hollow, JaxHollow. That's TikTok, Instagram, and then on Facebook it's Jax Hollow Music, because apparently Jax Hollow was taken. I don't know, but TikTok has been pretty nice to us. We got 2 viral videos on TikTok. One's almost at like 100,000 views. One's at like 70,000, I think. And so TikTok has kind of been like the new frontier for social media, I think. In that regard. So hopefully we'll get some more use out of that. I mean, that might be where a lot of our numbers are coming from
really?
The stream. Yeah. I wish there was a way you could see where things come from, but I think a lot of it is going viral on TikTok and stuff like that.
I'm very surprised that there's not a way to find out where those are coming from, because as a podcaster, I know where everybody who listens, I know what city they live in. And so I think the analytics are probably there. They're just not sharing them with you.
Maybe not yet. Maybe I'm too new. Yeah.
I joined TikTok like everybody else during COVID because I had nothing else to do during COVID. And I think I'm just too old. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that thing. I've made a few videos. I got a couple thousand whatevers. And I'm just like, okay, now what? Like, I don't know how to use TikTok, but you're a young whippersnapper, so I'm sure you're killing it on TikTok. So everybody follow Jax on all those things. I know I'm going to be. I follow her on most of them, but I didn't know she was on TikTok because I don't open that very much because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with it. So as we're heading out, is there anything that we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about today?
Well, I'm sure my ex is single, so he's on the table for anyone who's looking.
Well, you did sort of make him sound like a winner. So, no, wait. That is hilarious. Nicely done. Thank you for hanging out with us. And here is episode 9 by Jax Hollow. Just kidding. I would never do that. But why don't you tell me about that song?
Oh, I see what you did there.
I heard you mention it in another interview.
Cool. Yeah. Episode 9. That's a new song. That's like, I think about a month old. That one is really interesting. I think it is kind of indie-ish. I don't really know what kind of genre it is. It's just it is kind of singer-songwriter based, but it's also rock. Man, that one is hard to describe. You know what? It really is. Angie is in love with it. Angie loves that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's just like, oh, episode 9, and I've written a lot of songs.
That's not on this album. So is that going to be on the next album? Or is he going to release it as a single? Or what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, it'll for sure be on the next album. I don't know how to describe it. Nothing comes to mind, which is rare because my mind is.
Well, did you write lyrics for it?
Yeah, no, it's all done. The song's completely done.
What are the lyrics about?
Love is like a mouse, thinking that he knows the maze, didn't take into account all the variable change, holding to uncertainty like static in the brain. Oh, it's just enough to make a madman sane.
If you don't remember, you don't have to just make stuff up. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, that sounds cool. It seems like you're taking us down a particular path. I can't wait to hear it. Now, as we're heading out, I just want to thank you so much, Jax, for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, man. I'm excited to be on it.
Did I write this down right? February 26th is when the album officially comes out, the whole thing?
Yep.
Ladies and germs, depending on when this comes out, that is either this coming Friday or it was last Friday. So go get it. Where can they get it again?
The physical copies you can always get at jaxhollow.com/shop. And we've also got custom-made guitar picks there as well. We sold out of the signed snares. One of them had blood on it. And I said, bleed for what you believe in.
Nice.
And those sold out, which is amazing. But for streaming, the full album, except for Porcelain Red, will be available on all streaming platforms February 26th.
Without further ado, thank you so much, Jax. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great weekend.
All right. You too, man.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.
As always, thanks for listening, Streetwalkers. And don't forget, follow the show on Twitter at FascinationSTPD. On Instagram at Fascination Street Pod. Follow the podcast page on Facebook at Fascination Street Podcast. And of course, you can always email me at fascinationstreetpod@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and rate us on iTunes. Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence. Used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.